All right, so this is the QuickBook Online Certification Exam, Section 1 of 5. Why am I doing new videos so soon? Well, on November 1st, 2022, they updated the ProAdvisor certification exams. And there were a few changes made. I've gotten several requests to make new videos. I would say this, make sure you take notes from this training video as well as from the training section in the QBO account, and you would go to the ProAdvisor tab for that. For those of you who are new to QuickBooks Online, in order to get certified, you must create a new QuickBook Online account to become certified. I will put that link in the video description of this video for you to go to that link and sign up for a free accountant version account. And I'm going to show you right now this is what I use for school. And I left it here because I want to say, look, they have a webinar coming up. Whenever they have webinars, they'll send you an email, whatever email you use to create the account, and they'll say, hey, reserve your spot. And they're very informative. I always encourage my students to stay up to date with things by constantly taking advantage of any free training or webinars, or they even have in-person training through Intuit. So here's the training section. You'll see 3 tabs. The first tab is product training, and this is where if you scroll down, you'll see it always starts with the QuickBooks desktop migration. We'll talk about that in a second. Latest product updates. Those are the first 2 that you always see here. And then as you scroll down, there'll be training for the QuickBook Online exam, then advanced, and then they have payroll down here. And then you'll also see more payroll in the specialty courses. And then there'll be different ones. This changes all the time. Right now they have advisory part 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these change all the time, and just stay on top of it. I think that's the best way to, because after you get certified every year, you have to get recertified. So they'll just question you only on the new features, and this is where you'd have access to the training materials on new features. And then here's the third tab over. This is the certification section, and the first test is this is where you would go, and you see updated exam is now ready. That was as of Tuesday, November 1st. So you would come over here and click take exam, and then a pop-up window would come up and telling you, okay, you need to adhere to the following and so on. So we are going to get started on preparing you for the section 1 of this exam. Let me quickly explain what I do as a ProAdvisor. So as a QuickBook Online ProAdvisor, 90% of ProAdvisors, I believe, are bookkeepers. They go out there and they're independent bookkeepers, independent accountants where they're doing people's books. I, on the other hand, are part of the 10%. Some people do training. I do something kind of similar to training where I go into companies that are switching over to QuickBooks Online. And I help them get acclimated with the program and the process of moving all their files into the new program from whatever program they were using. And then I also train their employees. Whatever employees will be doing the bookkeeping, I train their employees. One of the things I stress is also training the small business owner on how to do the audit process. So that's what I do as a ProAdvisor. But there's several things to do, and if you're getting certified in QuickBooks Online, then you most likely are or are about to become a bookkeeper, accountant, or payroll specialist. Intuit wants bookkeepers to get certified in QuickBooks Online, and of course then encourage their clients to use QuickBooks Online. Intuit has developed a form in Excel that allows you to pinpoint any new client's needs quickly and then identify the subscription plan best suited for them. With your first encounter with a client, which I call the initial onboarding meet and greet, you can pull this form out, and it's something you can print out, but I don't. I actually just pull up that file. It's an Excel file, and I walk through the process with my client. I ask them all the questions, and I put the answers in there. And of course, you will critique the checklist file to your company's liking by adding and or deleting any questions or sections. After sitting with the clients and filling out the new client checklist, you will then need to do your research to find the best subscription level suitable for that client, any apps that you think will benefit their business needs, and if applicable, set up the payroll services as well. Then in the second meeting is where you present those results and a proposed contract of services. Once you and the client have agreed upon services and subscription terms, Then you will need to set up the client's new account. There are several steps to the process, including account setup, which will involve either manual data entry or importing files from another application. You will set up the chart of accounts first, and then clients, vendors, product and services, invoices, and etc., whatever else you need to. Okay, so I teach a course on setting up a small business from scratch using QuickBooks Online. It's a 10-chapter course, and the last book that I used that they no longer have in publication, I posted to my channel. So it's a 10-video course that I encourage you to watch if you're not familiar with the process of setting up a new QuickBooks Online account. So I posted it about, I want to say 7 months ago. Oh yeah, it says right here, 7 months ago. And so it starts off with chapter 1. QuickBooks Online Test Drive, Craig's Design, and Landscaping Services. The reason why I choose to look at Chapter 1 is because this is also an excellent website to use with your clients so that they can see and play with and get acclimated with the QuickBooks Online subscription plus. So this particular company is a service company. They provide landscaping services, and they would be able to look at exactly, what the setup would be in using the user interface for using this program in a plus subscription level. So this is something I usually, because if I have a client that's never used QuickBooks and just is kind of hesitant and needs that push, I bring them to this website and I kind of show them how easy it is to use. It's very user friendly. So this is a great site to use with your clients on that first onboarding process as well. And then also we talked about the new client checklist. I'm not going to spend much time on that today because I have a whole video covering the new client checklist. And if you're interested in watching it, I posted it about 5 months ago. It's called MS Excel 365 because I use a cloud version on everything. So it's Microsoft Excel 365. It's the basics 3. I talk about payroll templates and the new client checklist. So this, I would say half of the video, the second half of the video, it deals with the new client checklist. So if you're interested in that, and you can find the file through QuickBooks Online, the accountant version. Let's look at that real quick. So I showed you where the ProAdvisor is, but when you come over here and you go to training, whether or not you're planning on using my training videos, remember I told you have to come over here and train for the online course through Intuit. Intuit also goes over a lot. So I don't want, if I'm missing or lacking on something, this is where you would be able to catch it. And if you come over here to the new training available, there's 8 modules. If you click over here on Get Started, I don't exactly remember where it is. I mentioned it in one of my earlier videos, but you will find it because I encourage you to go through all of this. In this training is where they give you the new client checklist file. So you can download it to your computer. And of course, you're going to want to critique it to your liking for your own business. Okay, so here's some questions. So every time I'll talk about a topic, then right after that I'll follow it with sample questions. So these questions you want to make sure you have in your notes so that you can access them when you're taking the exam. So here's a sample question. You and your new client just completed the client needs assessment tool, which is the new client checklist, and the results showed that they will require profitability tracking as well as the ability to create budgets and purchase orders. What would be the minimum QuickBooks Online subscription level suitable for this new client? The minimum would be QuickBooks Online Plus. So they would need at least Plus because Plus offers profitability tracking, budgets, and purchase orders. So you're not going to get purchase orders in Simple Start or Self-Employed or Essentials. So you would need to have at least Plus or Advanced. So all my clients either are going to be using Plus or Advanced. Here's another question. What are the 3 areas the client needs assessment tool, which again is the new client checklist, which areas focus on gathering the information needed for you, the bookkeeper, to be able to select the right QuickBooks Online subscription level for your new client? The 3 areas is client profile, features and solutions. This section focuses on QuickBooks Online subscriptions, and the needs assessment. Again, if you want to know more about that, you have that in the training as well as I have that video on it. Okay, so the next topic we're going to look at is subscription levels. So let me pull up these links so we can go there. I'd like to get it right from the source. So we are going to go to Intuit and see what they have here for, I know 2 years ago when I did this video, I was shocked because I was like, whoa, I think, well, they self-employed was an option, and I just said that a second ago either. Self-employed was like $1 a month, so I was blown away by the prices. Obviously now we 2 years later are at a whole different level of, the pandemic changed a lot. So simple start is $15 a month. Essentials is $27.50. Plus is $42.50, and advanced is $100. And this right here is what you would get for its buy now for 50% off for the first 3 months. And this is if somebody, a business owner, was coming in here and getting it. Obviously, you as a pro advisor, we'll talk about that as well, can offer great deals on an ongoing basis. So, but this is if somebody's just going to sign up themselves. The best thing is to get a ProAdvisor to walk you through it and help you. So that's this. And then the website that I just showed you right here shows you all the different features under the different subscription levels. And then the next one we're going to look at, I believe, is the payroll. So the payroll also has, and this now the payroll can be purchased outside of QuickBooks Online. So you don't have to be a QuickBooks Online wait, hold on a second, user. Why did this not come up? You don't have to be a QuickBooks Online user to be able to get the payroll. The payroll is can be purchased separately. So I don't know why this isn't coming up. I don't know if let me try one more time. And this is one of the reasons why I don't put my links anymore. I used to put my links on all my videos, and then people be like, oh, your links don't work. It's not that my links don't work. They're often, they change, information changes, price change, articles change. So that's why I don't put my links on my videos anymore. So here we're at currently in November of 2022. Core is $22.50 a month, Premium $37.50 a month, and Elite $62.50 a month. And then if you scroll down, it talks about the features that you get with each one of these. So let's look at sample questions we would have for our subscriptions. Which 2 QuickBooks Online subscription levels would support a client who needs to track how much inventory is in stock at any given time, as well as, might sound familiar because we just saw a question like this in the other section, profitability tracking, creating budgets, and purchase orders? That would be QuickBooks Online Plus and Advanced. Those 2 would give you those 3 features: profitability tracking, creating budgets, and purchase orders. Which 2 QuickBooks Online payroll subscription levels include time? So Elite and Premium. Core does not. If you get Elite or Premium, Premium being the most popular, you automatically get access to QuickBooks Time. What are the features QuickBooks Time Elite users have that Premium don't? I listed all of them here for you. Its ability to use geofencing, track profitability, project profitability, project estimates versus actual reporting, and time sheet signatures. So these 4 features are something that Elite users have that Premium users don't. Now the question might not have all 4 of this. They might say which feature, or 2 features, or 3 features. So your best bet is to have them all in your notes, and then this way, whatever the question is, you're prepared to answer it. Which are the main features and benefits of QuickBooks Online Payroll Premium? The 3 main features would be QuickBooks Time, same-day direct deposit, and expert review. So for those of you who want to get certified in payroll, I'll be doing that after I do advanced, and that's pretty intense. It goes over everything, and it focuses, and it goes into all of this in detail. Okay, but they only have a few simple questions in this section on it. How will your client pay for their new QBO account? So you've sat down with them, you've figured out which subscription level, they've signed their agreement with you, you gotten your deposit. Now you need to set up their account, and in setting up their account, you need to figure out, are you the bookkeeper paying, or is your client paying? So there's 2 options. One is the ProAdvisor Preferred Pricing Program, which was previously known as the ProAdvisor Discount Program, and the other one is Direct Discount. So let's look at those 2 and look at the main differences between them. All right, my internet is a little slow. So here we go. So you get 30% off on both of them. The main thing is if they get the direct where you bill Intuit's going to bill the client, it's only for 12 months. Whereas if they choose for the ProAdvisor discount program, then it would be ongoing. It'd be ongoing. So it's the same price for both, but if they go through you as the bookkeeper, then it's ongoing. So it's kind of like, a quid pro quo in that, QuickBooks is locking in, having hopefully a long-term relationship with the company as well as you, the bookkeeper, because they're offering that benefit for you as the ProAdvisor to be able to offer the client that tasty, benefit of using you by having a forever, discount rate of 30%. So yeah, and then if you scroll down, it also looks at payroll because it includes payroll and it also includes time. So time and payroll is included as well under that program. So let's look at the questions. After the second meeting with your client, they choose to have Intuit bill them directly. Which option has Intuit bill the client? Well, we just saw it's direct discount. They get the discount for 12 months, but they're billed directly. After the 12th month, they have to go back to that initial pay that we saw in the first subscription screen. What are two benefits of the ProAdvisor Preferred Pricing Program? Itemized billing of all firms billed subscriptions. I didn't mention that if you scroll down, it does show you how you get access to looking at the file, which gives you itemized billing of all your clients that you pay for. So they itemize that for you and you get that in a file. So that's one benefit, itemized billing of all your firm bill subscriptions. And the other one is you can offer 30% off subscriptions to your clients. Now, note here I put as of November 2022 because I don't know if you're watching this in March of 23. This video should still be very good going into March. I'm going into 2023. However, you need to check and make sure that we're up to date on things because every quarter there may be small changes. So what are the differences between the ProAdvisor Preferred Pricing Program and the Direct Discount Program? Well, the person is getting billed, who the person is getting billed. It could be the client or the ProAdvisor. So that's one difference. Who's paying? The client paying, then you're doing the direct discount. If the bookkeeper or the ProAdvisor is paying, then that would be the ProAdvisor Preferred Pricing Program. I'm stuttering because it's a new term for me. So before it was the ProAdvisor Discount Program. The other one is the duration of the discount, because if you're using a direct discount, it's only for 12 months, and so it ends at 1 year. But if your client is allowing you, the ProAdvisor, to pay for their bill, and then you in turn would, charge them, because you're charging them every month for your services anyway. So that would include that bill with the 30%. That would be ongoing. So these would be the two differences between the two programs. Here's another question. To which 3 subscriptions does the ProAdvisor Preferred Pricing Program apply? So I mentioned that it was QuickBooks Online, all the subscriptions on QuickBooks Online itself. Then it also includes QuickBooks Online Payroll and Time. So those 30%, those discounts are applied to these particular programs: QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Time, and QuickBooks Payroll. All right, how is the client going to input their business information? So you can manually input the information for a brand new business or import the information of an existing business. Steps to take before importing. So if you're going to be importing, you want to make sure that your file is either CSV, XLSX, which is Excel, or Google Sheets. And then you also want to check for accuracy. Double check that your spreadsheet column titles are in row 1 and that they match the QBO setup for whatever section you're importing. Check the contents and fill in any missing information. Take out any unneeded information and/or correct any mistakes. Make sure the file doesn't exceed 2 megabytes or 1,000 row limit. If it does, then you'll need to split up that file into multiple import files that meet the requirement. Note, there are always great articles out there that are provided by fellow ProAdvisors that you would see through into it. And here's one. This one goes over importing all of them. It has, I think this one starts off with customers and vendors, but then it has links on the bottom for all of the imports. So let's look at this. And in here, it'll start off by, giving you basic intro to what, And then here's the most of probably what I just said, that your file cannot exceed 2 megabytes or 1,000 rows. If it doesn't import correctly, it needs to be re-imported. Sub accounts cannot be imported. So this is a good article to read if you want. If you scroll down a little, I believe it gives you the actual steps in importing. So yeah, there it goes. It goes gear icon, then import data. Then you would select what you're importing, whether it's customers or vendors, and you would select the different. So I clicked on here as well, and I looked at product and services. If you come over here, one of the things that is different about importing is in product and services, it gives you the option to update multiple. So you're able to override all values for each product or service that has the same name. So sometimes you'll have lists and you by mistake have some repeated things. It'll allow you to override values. But once you do that, it can't be undone. That's what it says here. Once you do that, it can't be undone. So you could override it and then import, and then whatever you put in, if that's not correct, you would have to re-import it again. And then they also have one there for chart of accounts. But if you look on the bottom, it gives you examples. All right, so let me come over here. What are the steps to importing data? So we just read, some of the instructions on how to import in that article we looked at. Let's look at how we actually access this feature in QuickBooks Online. So if I'm over here and I go to my gear icon, whenever my internet is acting a little slow today, in the top right corner, you'll see a gear icon. If you click it, I'm in QuickBooks Online Accountant, so it's going to say company settings. But if you were in sorry, your client's account, you would see account and settings. So again, I'm in QuickBooks Online Accountant, and I'm going to see company settings. But here in a plus account or whatever your client has, you would see accountant settings. I just wanted you to know that. So to import data, you would go to gear icon, and then you would go down to import data. I'm so sorry. I'm a little sick. And then you'll see the 6. Here we go. Here's our 6 areas that you can import. Bank data, customers, vendors, chart of accounts, product and services, and invoices. This is what I'm like in class too, because I'm always talking before my PowerPoint or my internet. So let's look at what kind of questions you would see for importing. What list types can be directly imported into QuickBooks Online from Excel? So you wouldn't have a question like this where they're actually asking for all of them, but it would list maybe several of them and say which of these can be imported. You might as well have them all in your notes, and then this way when the question comes, okay, I know by process of elimination. Chart of accounts, customers, vendors, product and services, bank data, and invoices. Sorry. When importing lists into QuickBooks Online, which section allows you to opt for overriding duplicate names? So we just looked at that in that article. You can choose to overwrite product and service items with the same names. When importing files into QBO, what file types can you use to import? Well, that would be spreadsheet files. So again, just like I said over here, have them all because they might list 1, 2, or all 3. Have them all because there's understand with the test, there's a database of questions. So they have several questions that'll be of the same topic. So I don't know which one you'll have, but have this in your notes so you know what the answer would be because they might list 1, 2, or all 3. So it'd be CSV, Google Sheets, or Excel, which would be XLS or XLSX. Here's some more. If a new client has been using QuickBooks Desktop to manage their books and is now planning to switch to QuickBooks Online, as their ProAdvisor bookkeeper, which method is the easiest way to migrate their data to their new QuickBooks Online account? The best way to do it is using the conversion tool to convert their existing QuickBooks Desktop data. So you saw a minute ago, I went to the gear icon and then I selected import data. Right under those 6 areas that you could import, a matter of fact, let me go up there because it probably still has it up there. Right under there, there we go. You see there's a link here, import from QuickBooks Desktop. There's also a link now that allows you to import from Sage 50 and Peachtree. But this is the conversion tool they're talking about. So you would come over here to gear icon, import, and then you would be able to click on import from QuickBooks Desktop. Now, over over a decade ago, it was actually a pretty intense process to do. Now it's very simple. And remember, they have it in this training section as well. It walks you through that process if you have a client that needs to do that. Did I go over all of them, by the way? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I have one more. Which list records well, I'm sorry, which list records can be updated with new information via importing? Products and services, we looked at that. Product service items with the same names. So if you've imported your products and service incorrectly, you can override all the values for each product and service that you import with identical names. Just import the same file again, and then make sure you select override all values at the bottom of the page. But remember, once you do that, it'll be permanent, and then you would select import. All right, so the first thing you would need to set up for your client is their chart of accounts. So their chart of accounts, or COA, is an index or list of all the financial accounts used by a company, and therefore comprises their general ledger. You do not want to begin inputting business transactions before setting up the COA. It is very important to properly format your Google Sheets or Excel file to match the information under QuickBooks with the appropriate column headings. So remember, I mentioned earlier that your Excel file, your heading should be on row 1. It should be the top one, and it should be exactly what Intuit is looking for, because they have an algorithm. So they're looking for specific things. And those headings should be account name, type. Now I know if you just came out of accounting 101, you know it's account type, but they don't say that in QuickBooks. So you need to make sure you write type. So it's account name, type, detail type, and account number. This is optional. The reason why I just mentioned that, it's not part of the certification exam, but this is something I do with my clients, with my small business owners that really are, they were not, what's the correct, like they were never a business student. So they're not business, they're business savvy because they know how to run a business, but they don't know anything about accounting or bookkeeping. Sometimes through the training, I'll do certain things because I want them to get acclimated to the program. I want them to understand how to edit and change things, because once I'm done with my contract with them, I'm gone, and then they have to do it on their own. So sometimes I'll do something that I know I want them to learn the process. So sometimes I leave out account numbers so that they had to go in and to the chart of accounts and add all the numbers. But I do that so that they're looking at how to go into the chart of accounts, how to make changes, how to edit. I go over all of that with them. So sometimes I'll, purposely leave out account numbers for that being something I want the owner to do. And then I wanted to bring a file for you to just look at for those of you who are going to do importing. Your Excel file, again, row 1 should be set up with the column titles, and it should look something like this: account number, account name, type, you don't write account type, and detail type. And you would have, if you put it in like this, it should go smoothly. And then the last comment I put here is, I have mastered this over time. Meaning, sometimes when you're first starting, if you're a bookkeeper and you're just starting, you might make errors, and just apologize and say, I don't know what went wrong. Let me gather myself and get this, because I did make mistakes in the beginning, and this was one of the things importing that I had a problem with. I would say a decade ago it was, bringing over people with the desktop version, and then after that I would say some importing issues I had. But now I've mastered it, so it's something that over time you will master. And like I said, this would be one thing I would take into consideration: making sure you have all the columns correctly, clearly stated in the right order when you import. All right, so here are some questions you might see for the chart of accounts sample questions. What are 2 ways to access the chart of accounts? Gear icon and chart of accounts, so we can look at that. And then on the left navigation pane, that means the left-hand side of the screen, you go to accounting, and then you select chart of accounts. So let's look at that. Go to the gear icon and select chart of accounts. Or on the left-hand navigation, scroll down to accounting and select chart of accounts. So those are the 2 ways to access chart of accounts. A client needs you to clean up their chart of accounts to reduce the number of accounts shown because they have several duplicate accounts and accounts not being used. What can you do to fix this issue? Make accounts inactive and merge duplicate accounts. Where can you enable account numbers for the chart of accounts? You would go to gear icon, accountant settings, and advanced tab. I go over this in my class. So if you're not familiar with these things, then I would encourage you to take that 10-chapter course that I mentioned earlier. Before merging 2 sub-accounts, which two of these need to be true? I'm not really sure what I have here because this must have been a question that was submitted. I think this is a question that was submitted before, and it looks like I only have one thing here. So it has here that the name is spelled the same. So what they're talking about here is when you have an account and So often I might have, like, I'll give you a best example, wages expense and salaries expense. You might have two accounts that mean the same exact thing, and you might have been you want them to merge together. So you would then go into one of them and change their name to wage expense. What happens? A pop-up window comes up and says, this account already exists. What would you like to do? And you would click, yes, I want to merge that account. I'm not sure what the other one is because I don't know where, I must have left something out. So I might have to put this in the description what the other one is because I don't know if I have it in my notes anymore. Here's another one, and I know this is an older one too, an older question, but I threw it in here just in case it's still in the database of questions. In the chart of accounts, what is the maximum number of characters allowed in the account number fields? In the chart of accounts, 7. 7 is the answer. When in the chart of accounts, how can several accounts be inactive or made inactive all at once? Okay, so by selecting each account. So on the left-hand side, you'll see little boxes, and you'll click the check mark. And then on the top left, left of the screen, you'll see a batch action drop down, and you would select make inactive. So I don't know if the answer would look exactly like this, but you would have this in your notes and whatever looks the closest to this. So you would select each account that you want to make inactive, and then you would choose make inactive from the batch action dropdown. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I would select several accounts, and then I would come over here to batch action, and I'd go down and select make inactive. All right. Let's look at the next question. When in the chart of accounts, you may need to merge several duplicate accounts. That's what I was just explaining you the process. Which accounts cannot be merged or made inactive? So accounts that cannot be merged or made inactive would be ones that are either set up by QuickBooks Online to set up certain financial statements like the balance sheet, or they might be accounts for your online banking if you have bank feeds. So that would be retained earnings is one, and any uncategorized account. So uncategorized accounts represent if you have your bank feed set up and it's sending in, charges, and QuickBooks cannot figure out what exactly this transaction goes to, and let's say it's incoming money, it might put it toward uncategorized income because they don't know where this is. So they're going to put it in that account. And anytime you see as a bookkeeper that your client has uncategorized expenses or uncategorized income, you would have to look at that because obviously it needs to be tied to the proper revenue account or a proper expense account. So I have here show, so let me show you what I'm talking about. So if I were to come down to retain earnings and I say make inactive, it's not going to let me do that. I'm going to say yes, but then a pop-up window is going to come up, and let's read what it says. It says you cannot delete or edit the retained earnings account because it's used to create the balance sheet report. So this is what I was saying, if it's tied to financial. So this one's tied to a financial report. The other one would be, what did I say, uncategorized expenses or uncategorized income. I probably passed some. Here we go, uncategorized expenses. So if I come over here and try to make this inactive, it's going to say, oh yeah, go ahead. But then it's going to say, no, you can't because this is linked to your online banking feature. So when your online banking comes in and they don't know where it goes to, they're going to put it into that uncategorized expense for you then to turn around and link it to the proper expense account. Okay. Now after you do your chart of accounts, once that's established, your client may also have other files needed to be imported. We'll go over these areas more in depth in future sections, as well as in the advanced exam training. To make sure your data imports correctly, import each spreadsheet in this order. So you want to start off with importing customers first, then vendors, then products and services, and then invoices. Because obviously you don't want to do invoices if you haven't put in your product, services, and your customers yet, correct? So do it in this order. So let's look at some questions you might see here. Which batch action can be performed in the Customer Center in QuickBooks Online? So when we say batch action, if you saw with the chart of accounts, that's this link that's on the top left of the screen, and it'll say batch action. You'll click that drop down and it'll show you all the options you have as a batch action for whatever feature you're in. So we're in Customer Center, and the batch actions there are create statements, email, make inactive, and select customer type. So again, the question might not be that. It might say which one of these is a batch action that you can perform in the Customer Center, but you have all 4 of them in your notes, so you'll know which one is the answer. Here's another question. Where is the Vendor Center accessed in QuickBooks Online. So you'd go to the left-hand navigation, you'd select expenses, and then you'd scroll, down to the tab vendors, and then the vendor center will pop up. Which two batch actions can be performed on the vendor in the vendor center? So we looked a second ago at the customer. Now let's look at the vendor. When you're in the vendor center and you go to batch action, that only has two features. It's email and make inactive. Which actions can be performed on a vendor in the vendor center in QuickBooks Online? That would be create expense, write check, create purchase order, and make inactive. So let me show you what I'm talking about is what actions. So you have batch actions and actions. So let me come here. We were just looking at vendors, right? So if we're looking at vendors, we're going to go to expenses. We're going to go to vendors, and then our vendors will come up on the list. Now, this is an account I just use for school, so I don't even know. Do I have a vendor? Yes. Okay. So for this vendor, I have my batch actions, which again, I just told you with email and make inactive. But for my actions, I'd come down here, all the way on the right, you'll see your actions. And when you go down here, it's create bill, create expense, write check, or make inactive. So you have the action column, but then you also have the batch action. So I wanted you to see what the difference was. Any other questions on this? Oh, yes. So what are two reports that can be filtered by customer type? So there's only two reports. There's customer contact list and sales by customer type detail. So when you're in here and you go to reports, you would you'll see some down here, and then you have custom reports. These are the ones that you save, that you set up the way you like. So if I go to customer, let's say balance detail, there'll be a customized section, and here is where you would come down here, and then you can go to change columns, and then you can select what you want. And this one has transaction type, number, and so on. So they're saying to you, which one of these would you be able to go into your custom? Let me get out of this. Okay, I'm not stuck there when I come back. Which one of these? It would be customer contact list and sales by customer type detail. These are the two that when you go into that customized area, you would see customer type as an option to select to filter by. Where do you go to show product service column on sales form? You go to the gear icon, accountant settings, and sales tab. So the answer might not be exactly like this. It might be written differently. They have several different questions that are in the database, but just know you would go here to your gear icon. Remember, I'm an accountant version, so it says company settings, but for a customer or a client that you're, company, it would say accountant settings. You go to sales tab, and then you see here sales form content, and this is where you would be, product and services, and this is where you would, I'm going to go over here to change this. If I wanted, I can turn it on or off to show product service column on sales form. Okay. So that's gear icon, accountant settings, and sales tab. It might not include gear icon. It might just say sales tab in the accountant settings. So you don't know how it is, but you have it in your notes. What must you select in order to remove a vendor from the vendor center in QuickBooks Online? So one of the things you'll see quickly in QuickBooks Online doesn't really allow you to delete certain things. So product and services, customers, vendors, you don't really delete them, but we use the word remove here because you're going to actually make them inactive. You make them inactive because you might have things tied to them in the previous years. And again, which you'll see when we do payroll, you have to hold on to your records for 3 to 4 years, depending on what it is that we're talking about. So you might have that vendor or customer or product on there. So it's just going to be made inactive. It's not actually going to permanently, well, it'll be removed. You won't see it on the screen, and you won't see it in reports or lists, but it'll be made inactive. You have a client who wants to use purchase forms. Which is true about using a product and service item on a purchase form? You must select, I purchased this product service from a vendor, and you must be using QuickBooks Online Plus or Advanced. So to be able to have purchase forms, you have to have either Plus or Advanced subscription level. And the other one is when you're when you're setting up the product service initially, because we're talking about product service items. When you're setting up that product or service, whether it's an inventory item, non-inventory, or service, when you select that, you'll see when you're setting it up, and you have to tie that into a chart of accounts, you'll see where you can select, I purchased this product service from a vendor. I think I go to this section later, a product service, so I'll make sure to show you where it says that checkbox, I purchased this product service from a vendor. Here we have another question. This is product and services. So we switched up with product and services now. Where within QuickBooks Online would you set up to show product service column on sales form? We just actually looked at that, but I wanted to give you a visualization. It's gear icon, account settings, sales, and then product services. This question might actually go further and say product and services section. So, but I wanted you to see the visualization, and I actually just showed you that a second ago. This question is a little interactive because it's going to have descriptions, and then it'll have a drop down and you have to select it. So with product and services, matter of fact, I'll show you it now. Product and services, there's 4 different types that you can choose from. It's non-inventory, bundle, service, and inventory. So non-inventory is a unique product requested by a customer. It's something that you're not going to be necessarily needing to track quantity on hand. So it might be small parts or small supplies, or in a doctor's office, it might be, bandages, something that's at the front desk that you're not, it's not a big sales item for you. So you're just going to put that under non-inventory. A bundle is when you have a collection of both products and services. So it would be, you have labor and materials, like a roofer. A roofer provides the materials as well as the labor cost in applying it. And then service is somebody who is providing a service. So me as a ProAdvisor or a doctor or a lawyer. So they provide a service to their customer and they're not selling a product. So instead it's labor. And then taxes are not going to be applied in most states. And the last one is inventory. So this is where you are buying and selling, and it's necessary to track quantities, because if you're doing the perpetual inventory system, you're going to immediately acknowledge the cost of goods sold. So this is important for you to tie the chart of accounts. I think that's in the next. And I said I was going to show it to you, so let me show it to you now. So let me get out of here. So we come over here to sales, and then we're going to go down to the bottom, product and services. And then I'm going to go to add new, or the new button on the right. And then it's going to list the 4, inventory, non-inventory, service, and bundle. Let me go to inventory because I wanted to show you also. So here I have, I don't know, I'm just going to put VVV. And then when I come over here, I'm going to say, what it is. Select the name of what it is. Okay, I have here quantity on hand. I always tell everybody put 0, manually put in what you want. Now I have to tie this to a chart of account. That's a question we're about to look in a second. So since this is an inventory item, I need to tie this to what inventory asset account I want to use. So I'd come over here and select which inventory account, which asset account I would be, and then I would come over here and put whatever the information is, the sales rate, and then I would tie in the income. So here would be my revenue account that I would use. So I'm going to say, let's say sales would be my revenue account. And then when I come over here to purchase information, I would put whatever, and then the cost, and then I would tie it to whatever cost of goods sold. But up here, they'll have, let's see, where is it? Oh, here we have the if I want to put in, oh, that's my one vendor, I can tie in my preferred vendor, and then you have, I'm not sure why it's not coming up, but yeah, I'm not sure why it's not coming up, but you would have the, oh, maybe because I don't have it on there. So since I don't have it on there, I don't have the ability to check mark that I provide this. So that would be able, I would be able to see it on the purchase form. I would be able to check mark that I purchased this from a vendor. But yeah, you have to tie all of those to a chart of accounts. I think that's in this next, yes, it's right here, this one. So let's look at this one first. If a client does not want to track the quantity on hand of products they sell, what product service type should they select when setting up the items she sells in QuickBooks Online? That would be non-inventory. If they are not tracking quantity on hand, it would be non-inventory. And this is what I was just showing you too. All your products and service items that are inventory should be mapped to what? It should be mapped to the chart of accounts. Because remember I showed you, you're going to first select inventory, then you would select your revenue account, and then you would select your cost of goods sold account. If you're using the perpetual inventory system, you immediately take it out of inventory and acknowledge the cost of goods sold, and then you would also put, the money or accounts receivable in and the revenue. So all those accounts will be affected. And so you have to map your chart of accounts properly to whatever it is. If you don't, then you see they automatically put these default accounts there for you. Okay, overview screen. So the overview tab appears at the top of the menu sidebar when you log into a client's file. And it's also available to company administrators that have advanced subscription levels. So I go over this in detail in the future, but there's only maybe one or two simplistic questions in the first section. And so it might look something like this. Who has access to the overview screen? I just said it, accountant users, and then advanced company administrator users. And then what four sections of the overview screen can be used to perform high-level reviews? Company setup, banking activity, common issues, and transaction value. As I said, we go over it in detail in a future videos. So I'm going to end it here. I know a few people that hit me up was concerned. There's not too many questions deviated from what we had before, but they are. So again, make sure you have notes before you take the exam. Have notes from the training section and then from my training videos, and you should do well. If you come across anything that I have not added, or if you see a mistake or whatever it may be, please put it in the comments, because this is a pay it forward situation. I did originally started this channel for my students. It's open to everybody. We should be paying it forward. If there's something that you want to share, please put it in the comments. I would really appreciate it, as everybody else would. Thank you for watching.